I should have said because I thought it was saying that.
Yeah. Well, okay. It's recording now.
Good.
Hey, Shell. Thank you so much for joining me today on Soul to Soul podcast. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Kay.
I'm really excited because my intuition asked me to reach out to you. And so I really tried to just listen to my intuition and trust in the ideas without putting too much thought into it. So I'm really excited to see what we talk about today and find out why I was guided to call you on for a Zoom chat today. So I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I live my life by intuition. So it's exciting that we're both on the same page.
Yep, I'm excited about that too. So Shell, you are a yoga and mindfulness teacher with a passion for chair yoga. And I wanted to begin by asking you, what is chair yoga and who is it for?
Okay. Chair yoga and mindfulness is for anyone that can't get up and down from the floor. So it can be because of your age, because of your size, because of an illness that you have, because of breathing difficulties, because of all sorts of different things. Maybe you're injured and you're coming back from injury. It's really, really good for people with varying mental abilities, so Alzheimer's, dementia, anything like that. Yeah, I'm very passionate about sharing this amazing tool with those that think they can't access it.
How did you come to find out about chair yoga?
I did my training in 2016 and actually just for self-development, as a lot of us do. And about halfway through, it was like a light bulb came on and, oh, so this is what you want me to do with my life at 60. So I then messed around for a couple of years. I walked the Camino across Spain, across France, and asked the question of, okay, what's next? What's next? And the answer was to take it to people that can't really access it. And I thought, okay. And when I came back, a friend asked me to take over a class of chair yoga, and that was the start. And I've just become more passionate every day.
Wow. Now let's wind back to the Camino, because that's one of my bucket list things to do in my life. Mm-hmm. How did you come to walk the Camino?
So my husband likes to walk and likes to have projects on board. He's now 83. When we did our first one, he was 78, I think. So way fitter than me. That sort of exercise is not my thing usually. Spain, I really enjoyed. So we started from a place called Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, which then you walk over the Pyrenees and 1,000 kilometers to the coast with a backpack. We did it. So at the time I was 59 for the first one. So yeah, it was great. We met lots of nice people. I achieved it. Yeah, it was a really good experience. So, and then in 2018, he decided for his 80th birthday, he would like to walk across France. So I went with him on that too. I found that a lot more physically challenging than the first one, but again, achieved most of it. So yeah, most of the time I was slower than everybody else. So I spent, 40 days each time in silent retreat, really, just asking the universe what was next.
And
here I am.
This is just brilliant, because the power of asking the universe what's next, that takes a deep level of trust in your inner knowing. And for some of our listeners, they may be like, that's just way overwhelming. So can I ask, how did you get to the point of trusting in that inner knowing and your intuition?
Okay. I've been brought up a Catholic, born and bred Catholic. We still practice each week, and I have a great faith in the good Lord that he'll direct me where I need to go. I've never really planned anything in my life. I've made educated decisions on opportunities that have been presented, I guess. I research them properly and make sure I'm not going to fall in a big hole. But yeah, basically my life has turned this way and that as I've gone through. And this is it here now.
And was that nurtured in you? Was that something that was encouraged, to just trust your intuition from a young age?
Not verbally, but I was always told that I could do anything and have anything that I wanted.
That's very powerful.
I was the eldest of six under 10. Dad was a copper, so he was away a lot. So I got very early responsibilities, very early caring responsibilities and that sort of thing. So I guess that directed which choices I made as the opportunities come up.
And what was your calling to yoga? How did you feel called to do that for personal development? Because a lot of the time, sometimes we're drawn to things through insight, or we have a trauma in our life or a rock bottom, which leads us to personal development in terms of mind, body, spirit. What was the calling for you?
I first tried it when I was about 18. I was working as a housemaid in New Zealand at the time and had a sore back. So I tried it then and quite liked it, much to my surprise, because as I said before, I'm not very athletically inclined and never have been. And then I sort of did it on and off over time. I became a police officer for a few years there as well. So, I used to have all of that unclassified PTSD happening with any sort of defence force emergency services type work. And I always sought solace in that and in church, I guess. And I've always wanted to do yoga on the beach. And when we came to the sunny coast in 2010, I found Yoga NRG beside Moffat Beach and quickly became addicted. I was doing it 5 or 6 days a week. So it was sort of my lifesaver for that time. And then when I came back from the first Camino, I did the training, and then after that, I've slowly progressed to here.
I think that's fantastic, because number one, you're a living example of it's never too late to do what you love in life. And can I ask, what is it that yoga has brought to your life?
Strength, peace, calm, satisfaction that I'm able to help people miraculously. Some of the things that happen just from 1 or 2 classes with breath and movement is just soul enhancing, I guess.
And we both know that when we are living in alignment with our true purpose, that these sort of miracles and healings can happen, right? So what are some of the examples of things that have happened that have blown your mind, or that might be a beautiful surprise to people listening today?
I used to do a class with the RSL Legacy ladies. So they're either partners of or ex-service people from World War I and World War II. So I think the youngest in that class, this was before COVID, of course, the youngest in that class was 80-something. The eldest was 97. And she had really bad arthritis or whatever it is you get in your hands that limits the movement of your hands and your fingers. And I really focus on extremities because that's where we lose use first. And I was trying to get her to bend her fingers, and she said, "No, can't do that." And I went, "Okay, how about you just try or use your mind and think that you can do it," and blah-de-blah, all of that stuff. And then she said, "No, the doctor said I'll never move my hands again." And I tried really hard not to roll my eyes, but I'm pretty sure I didn't succeed. But I said to her, "How about for the next month?" I only saw them once a month. "How about for the next month, you just think about moving the joints of your fingers. Just think about it a couple of times a day." She went, mumbled at me. And anyway, the next month she'd come back and she had full movement of her fingers, not full movement of her hand and wrist, but full movement of her fingers. It was just like, oh my God. That was just a suggestion. I didn't know it would work like that.
So just that empowering question of having a go helped shift her perspective.
Yeah, it's really just about getting people to access their mind, because they don't know that they can.
And so why do you believe that mindfulness is a beautiful addition to teaching yoga? Because I'm noticing more and more that yoga teachers are adding mindfulness to their titles?
Probably I teach mindfulness more than yoga. My aim is to get people to breathe, and a lot of majority of my clients are my age and older, and we were never really taught to breathe. I always say thank God he gave us automatic breathing, because we wouldn't last very long. But if he's and then I tell them during my class, if you just want to sit there and breathe for the class, that's perfectly okay. But how about you try and find the Goldilocks spot between too little and too much? Too little, you might be being a bit lazy today, and too much, you're experiencing pain. You shouldn't experience pain that you don't bring with you to my class. So,
I love that.
Yeah, it's really, and I think more and more as I guess try and analyze what it is that I do intuitively, because most of it's not planned. It just comes out my mouth. Sometimes it's like, where those words come from. But it's just about teaching people to be mindful, to find their peace, their strength and peace here and now is my business motto. So, if they go shopping and they're annoyed by somebody that is there, or by the volume of people or volume of noise, just know that you can come to your breath and you'll be okay. And lots of people tell me that they use that all the time.
That's the gold, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I have another lady that was in my first class, my first borrowed class. I asked them why they come to yoga mostly. And she told me that she'd broken her kneecap at 80 something. And she was okay now when she came to my class, but she couldn't take a dog for a walk without having someone there to pick up the poo. And she wanted to go on her own. And I went, okay, let's give it a go. About 8 weeks into my classes, she come to me and she said, I took so-and-so for a walk today and picked up his poo all by myself. I was like, oh.
Isn't that really interesting? Because what may be important to us is completely different to what is important to somebody else.
And just by teaching people to be mindful and maybe switching on a few muscles that they didn't even know that they had, they're able to achieve more in their life, make their life better for them. And that's my aim, I guess.
That's incredible. Now, I believe we teach what we most need to learn in our own lives. So reflecting on your life, why do you believe mindfulness is so important to you personally?
Allows me to find my strength and peace here and now. I didn't, even though I was probably aware of it most of my adult life, I didn't always access that.
Okay. And so why is strength and peace so important? Because you mentioned it twice now. Why is strength and peace so important to you?
Peace without and I've been asked that question before, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just that, I guess, that inner strength, that mental strength, emotional strength, that you're in control, I guess. And that brings you peace.
I love that. And so based on your own life experience, is mindfulness something you believe we can all master in our lives, or is it something that's going to be evolving for the rest of our lives?
I think everybody can master it, and I think every child from the time they start to speak should be taught it. Should be taught to take a breath. Instead of throwing a tantrum, just take a breath. You don't have to name it as mindfulness or tell them what they're doing, just teach them how to use it. It'll bring us to a lot calmer world.
For some of us mamas who are nurturing young souls at the moment, what would be your top tip for us as mums?
Oh, wow. I wish I'd known what I know now when I was a mother. I would have been a lot calmer mother. I wasn't a very calm mother. I think learning to respond to situations instead of reacting. I teach my clients that we have a physical reaction in our body which happens from our history, maybe our parents' history, maybe something we've seen, and our cells automatically react, which often can cause us extreme stress. Learn to recognize that physical reaction. I actually get tingling in my fingers. Lots of people find lumps along their throat, their gut, their chest. Just find that, stop everything and breathe. And then make your choice. Maybe you need to yell to save somebody, but take that breath first.
Beautiful. And so I always like to ask what themes are coming up for you in your life at the moment. So with mindfulness, often we have themes presenting to us in our everyday life. And is there anything that's especially poignant for you at the moment that you're focusing on for yourself?
Finding my happy spot, I think. Just and actually my classes this week were to make some suggestions what people could use to find their happy spots, and to know what makes them actually feel happy. Don't comply to what the world thinks happiness is, or what your husband thinks what happiness is, or whatever. Just find what makes you feel really good and do more of that.
I'd love to know, what was your feedback in class this week around that topic?
Yeah, they all really loved it. I actually got a really lovely review as a result of it. So, yeah, it was, it's just, I think particularly older people, because they haven't really had access to the verbalization of what we do. Some people have done it automatically all of their lives, but to be actually able to articulate what you're doing, I find that really rewarding.
I agree.
People say stuff and I'll think, that's what I've been trying to say for weeks.
Well, they say it so much better than you thought about it in your own head. You're like, I need to remember that. That's
right. I carry a notepad with me.
I was just listening to a podcast, and the podcast guest explained something, and I was like, that's how I need to explain it. And so can I ask, in your classes, is the idea of happiness, is that something that people are aware of in general, or is it a new awareness that perhaps they hadn't thought of before, that they can be happy? What's the general consensus?
I think, so most of my people are retired or semi-retired. So we all think that once you do that, you automatically become happy. I don't think that that's the case. Even the ones I teach in a well-to-do retirement village, I guess, for want of a better word. But, I don't think it's, and I think a lot of people my age and older, particularly women, and they're mostly in the class, of course, and, I don't think they deserve it. I don't think they think it's okay to be happy. You've got to have a trauma happening in your life, a lot of people, and that's not true. It's okay to feel good most of the time. And that's where we should be.
That's powerful. And for anyone who's listening who may indeed feel that they don't deserve to be happy, what would you say to them?
I think to try and find that inner peace and calm, because that then brings you your happiness, an overall feeling of well-being, and that it's okay. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people as they get older. They think that they don't deserve stuff. They don't, deserving, I think, is the best word. They just don't deserve to be happy. Maybe they've done these things that weren't right, or maybe they were like me and were a cranky, yelling mum. It's okay to have made a mistake. Just go forward from there.
We always have the choice to change whatever we're not happy with in our lives, don't we? So no matter what's happened in our past, we can choose this moment to transform if we want to.
Very much.
And we can choose this moment to just completely rewrite our story.
It's funny that you use choice as the word there. I've found myself over the last couple of months telling people it's a choice. Your life is a choice. And if you've made a catastrophic choice and you don't like the consequences, make another one. There's no rule you have to stick to the first one.
That's right. That's
right. When you have young kids and stuff like that, your choices have to be a bit more considered. But, when you get to my age and older, really it's only you and your partner that you're going to affect with the choice. So, make another one.
I think kindness and compassion for self is probably a great place to start, to just understand that, we're most likely trying to do our best with what we have in front of us and what we know. And as our awareness grows, then, instead of looking back and going, God, I wish I didn't do it that way, understand, well, I did my best with what I had at the time.
That's right.
Try
the here and now part of my motto. I really try to get people to understand, I guess. It's really hard to let go of stuff in the past or not anticipate or worry about what's going to come in the future. But if we can really learn to live right here and right now, it's really the only spot that we're given. I mean, we're not here, we've gone somewhere else.
And so if we're really stuck on something in the past that we continue to judge ourselves for, what's one way that we can shift that? I
think breath and movement is good too, because it takes you out of your head. If you're taking your breath to your movement, to your mind and to your movement, you can't be cogitating on something that's happened before or worrying about what's going to happen next. You can only be here and now. And the more, same with anything that you practice, you would be really aware of that. You get better at it. And the more we practice being here and now, the better we get at our whole life becomes just here and now.
That's a beautiful answer. Now, you touched on the fact that you are religious as well as spiritual, and I would love to know, because everywhere I listen to podcasts, people separate the two. And I've been brought up Catholic as well, and I'm not a practicing Catholic now, but that is deeply entrenched in my being. That actually has formed part of who I am today. Yep. And so what are your thoughts on religion and spirituality?
Don't look yoga and Catholic up on the internet. It's very scary. Obviously, I have the devil coming out of my mouth.
Right.
Which I think is the opposite to what happens. I think I was led to be here, and this is how I can deliver. Spirituality and Catholicism, I mean, you just have to watch your language, the same as any class you teach. I mean, if you teach a class of footballers, or teach a class of kids, or teach a class of immobile people, you're using constantly different language to express how they can, find their strength and peace here and now. And so that's what I think. And I quite often I feel God, Holy Spirit, whoever it is, with me as I deliver my class. Sometimes coming out of my mouth before they let me know what they're going to say.
Yeah, I have that problem too.
And sometimes it's funny, those are the comments that will be commented on at the end of the class. Someone will come up and say, I really needed to hear that today. I'm like, thanks. So it's just, I really feel that this is where I'm meant to be, and my Catholicism is part of me, a very strong. I used to not, I was never ashamed of it, but I spend a lot of time on social media, and I used to steer away from making comments in relation to Catholicism or justness or anything like that. I didn't make a comment, but it was sort of when in prayer one day, it was like, that's where you play. Why are you not sharing your gifts there? And I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
now I'm a lot stronger in my thoughts, or
You're just
expressing my thoughts, I guess.
owning what feels right for you.
Yeah, that's right. And it feels really good.
That's really fantastic, because I think I went from Catholicism to completely not wanting to be a part of that for my own personal reasons. And now coming back to, do you know what, like when I work with my clients, I've always said to them, whatever wellness tools work for you and help you to feel good, you can never have too many wellness tools in your toolkit. And so for you, that's exactly what it is. It's a wellness tool.
Exactly.
And you're just bringing together everything that feels good for you. And I just had that aha moment as you were sharing with me, because for some people, my clients will work with psychologists and they'll come and see me.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's all aiding with the intention of your healing.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly right.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. I have a crucifix in my yoga studio and a Buddha in a painting beside each other.
Yes.
And I have quite a few Catholic clients, of course, because that's where I play. And one of them come one day and they said, "Can you have those two things up there together?"
Oh.
And I went, "Yes, the wall hasn't fallen down. I've had them there for a while." And they went, but they're completely opposite. And I said, "No, they're not. It's just how different people express different stuff. You know, this is the way Jesus spoke to us. This is the way Buddha speaks to us. And hey, we've had all of these humans give us interpretations of each. And, you know, I don't necessarily agree with all of what's been said."
There's a beautiful book by Carolyn Mace.
Yes.
Where she links 3 different religions and the different sacraments, and actually shows you how aligned they are. And I think Catholicism, the seven sacraments, and then Kabbalah, I think, and maybe Judaism, if I'm right. And she actually, it's a great read, and it actually shows you how they are it is very similar.
Very much so. I mean, it's really just about connecting to your creator.
Yes.
Daily. And whatever name you put on that creator, I always say to people, what does it really matter what you call them? Someone created us.
I believe it's all one in the same, and it doesn't matter what name you put to it. It's all one in the same. And for me, I have a spiritual support team. And in that, I will connect with Mother Mary. I will connect with Jesus, Buddha, angels, whatever feels good. I just bring them all in and ask them to support me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Or just ask the question and the right person comes in.
Always. Or you can use the word life if you're not comfortable with having names. Use life or the universe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I mean, in my classes, I always say, you know, our creator or the universe or whatever you want to think, you think that.
I always say, whatever you believe in.
That's right. I call him God, but hey, you call him whatever you want to.
I think that's beautiful. So, Shel, where are you teaching classes? For anyone listening today who's interested in coming to a chair yoga class, where can they find you?
So through my contact details, which I'll give to you, of course, but I have a class in Brightwater. I have a studio at the back of my house. I also teach public classes. I also teach at the Avenue, which is a retirement village in Baden-Powell Street in Maroochydore. They very kindly open it to the public. Also teach one at Maroochy Shores, let me get the title right, Over 50s Lifestyle Village, I think it's called. And they open it to the public as well. And I am soon to start one at the Vitality Village.
Beautiful.
Open. So, you know, just contact me and I can let you know.
Do you also offer one-on-one for people who perhaps don't feel comfortable coming to a group class?
I certainly do, yes. I love those because they're the ones that you can get the most direct contact with people. So
I think this is really beautiful, and I will be sharing
well, thank you.
Sharing your details with anyone. Yeah, I think it's what you're doing is so, so important. And
it certainly is, particularly on the sunny coast with our demographic. You know, everybody should. And I'd really like, while we're here, to get it out to men. So I'm a male communicator. Most of my life, I grew up as dad's daughter and then worked in male-dominated fields most of my life. So I'm a male communicator. But just to get them into the room, I know I could hold them there once I had them there.
Yes.
Just to get them to come to a class, or, you know, men's sheds or whatever the men's groupings are out there. I offer a free demonstration presentation, and then we can decide from there if anybody's interested in playing.
Great. Well, I look forward to connecting you, because I'm a connector. So
I look forward to being connected.
It will come through me, and I'll just be like, oh, connect these guys with Michelle. Let's get it going. Because I just think together we thrive. That's really important. And, to be able to support each other in our community is how we are going to be able to raise our vibration, how we're going to be able for all of us to share our passions.
Yeah, very much so. And, our world during COVID and post-COVID really needs that. So let's get going.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I know you call it a calling. I just think it's so important. And I love how aligned you are to your soul. And I really love your story that this has happened for you later in life and that it's bringing you so much joy.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is when I was meant. I would have been a very different teacher as a younger. Maybe my children would have liked me more, but...
Do you know, as we're sitting here talking, my guides are wanting me to share a story, and I like to hold presents for my guests. And so I'm like, okay, here it comes again. So this morning I was having a chat with my girls around mothering, and my girls have their insights on my mothering, especially when I lose my cool. Yeah. And we were talking about me losing my cool, which I don't think is very often. But what their interpretation of is that I'm much more scarier than Dad when I lose my cool. And so I did say to them, I reflected on it and said to them, well, next time I lose my cool, when you feel that I'm losing my cool, can you remind me to be mindful? And what would your suggestion be for me when I'm in that state? And they both just looked at me and said, Mum, we're going to send you off to meditate. I thought that was a priceless answer. Yeah, no. I was just like, that is gold.
Yeah. I think it's it's starting to creep into our schools and stuff, and I think I have a high children around me that can do with a bit of breath doing. But, it's just when they do it, it's like, oh, it does feel better. So it's just teaching people to access it. And the earlier we do it, the better our world's going to be, because it will stop conflict and all sorts of stuff. Raising that vibration from early on changes our world for our children and grandchildren coming forward.
I think so. And I think a wonderful way is just to show your children what you are doing. I know for me, my kids, when they were young, when they're young and they're really just soaking up everything, came to a lot of classes with me and attended some kids classes that were happening on the coast in school holidays. So they kind of dipped their toes in the water along with doing other things. And then they lost interest in it for a while. And interestingly, now at 13 and 16, they now attend classes with me at the farm when they have days off school. And my eldest, as you know, came to our last workshop, and that's been of their own initiation. And so I think if you just allow them to see
that's right,
what you're doing, they will find their way.
I think so. And I think as we become more enveloped in our purpose and our connection, everybody wants what you've got.
If if your energy and your light is shining so bright that people feel that, they're going to come and try and figure out what it is about you that.
Yeah. Always been told I was different.
Different's good. I always say to my kids, normal's boring.
Yeah, boring.
Don't be normal. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I've really enjoyed our chat today. I know there is so much wisdom in your words, and I look forward to sharing what you're doing here on the Sunshine Coast. I think it's so important to be spreading the beautiful work that you're doing. And it's really, really important.
I really appreciate the opportunity to chat. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it as well. So